Hey, everybody, welcome back to MRO Essentials with Justin and Tim. And today we're continuing down this demand signal path because it's so important to the MRO supply chain. And as I work with Justin, I find out I'm learning so much on the maintenance side that I wish I knew a long time ago. And one of them is this around ISO 14224 and
Yeah,
how it
yeah.
helps you structure and collect information. So I won't get into it. I'm gonna let Justin explain it to you. So this is going to be all around creating, I guess is the point of developing a good demand signal. And then I'll probably have a million questions, Justin. So I hope I don't bug you too much, but let me hand it over to you and take us into 14224, ISO 14224.
Yeah, and by the way, you look good in that shirt. Just throwing it out there. I mean,
Okay.
it is what it is. We look
I
so
can't help it. It just happens.
yeah. I got to wear a hat to cover that glare.
That is a good
Anyways,
shine.
yeah.
I'm,
Hey, have you ever seen the Simpsons episodes where Mr. Burns is like got a crush on Marge Simpson? You know what I'm talking
yeah,
about?
yeah,
The crazy
yeah.
old creepy Mr. Burns. Anyways, and Marge is coming down the hall and he reaches into his desk and he pulls the skull wax out because he's bald and he
No.
polishes his and he's trying to act all cool and Marge walks in, he's like, hello, and he slams his head on the desk. So anyways, all right, I've made fun enough of myself.
On the skull wax.
Yeah, I'll send you the clip. So
Okay.
hey, yeah, this is like to me, man, like where I come from, Tim.
Yep.
Until you tie your maintenance to it, you're never going to fix it. I'm just telling you. If you guys
Yeah.
think you're stocking the right stuff just based on consumption and history,
No.
you're missing half of it because
When
more
you
than
showed me
likely.
this, I was blown away. I was blown away. I couldn't believe the structure. This is fantastic. So I'm looking forward to this.
So a little history. So we spent about 6 weeks arguing about functional locations and equipment and failure data and bombs and blah on and on and on. And I got to throw a bone to old Norm Pointer. He's over there with AMA. I called Norm and spent a lot of time with Norm, and Norm actually came in and introduced this to me. So, Norm, I'm forever grateful for you doing this because it really stopped all the arguing.
Yeah.
And basically, what he said is, "Hey, man, you just need to read ISO 14224 and get religious about it." So that's what we did. And I'm going to share. I'm going to share. This with you here. Let me get my screen shared here.
Okay.
Entire screen. There we go. And move us out of the way. Okay. You should start seeing it now. Okay. So basically what ISO 14224 for the petroleum, petrochemical, natural gas, anybody that does this type of stuff
Yep.
it is the Bible, and it teaches you how to set things up. And guys, like it's 100 and looks like at least 168 pages.
But
I've got
there's other
copies.
versions of this for other industries, right? This is just the
Yep.
petrochemical one. Okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
and it gives you a good idea. Like it probably works for pretty much any asset intensive. But if you look
Yep.
here, we'll dive into this. And and one of the things that I've seen, especially with our clients that we're working with in the mining and LNG space and just all around these really asset intensive places, is they
Yep.
really don't understand. They don't have a consistent way of setting up their functional locations and their equipment.
Okay.
And this
So it's giving them a
really,
structured approach to building the data.
yeah. And in fact, one somebody I was talking to the other day on LinkedIn, they said, well, we don't record failure codes. We just have our vendors tell us what parts we use and tie it to the work orders on the invoice. And I just like my mind just exploded, and because it it made me realize there's no way that they're driving. I mean, they're doing some of it, right? The big stuff that
Yeah,
matters,
yeah.
but they're not like they're probably very reactive in their root cause analysis, their defect elimination program, right? They're like, oh crap,
Yeah,
something
yeah.
blew up, caught on fire. Now I'm going to really dig into it, throw a bunch of people at it. But SAP is designed, if you do it well, it's designed to collect data to help you eliminate failures. Okay. And
Okay.
we're not going to get into like, I'm not a reliability engineer. But this really matters to us because it connects the supply chain. right? We talked a little bit about prioritization earlier. We talked about bills of materials earlier. This is where that meets.
Yep.
And if done well, and if you'll follow this guideline, it lays everything out for you. So, for example, if you look here, and I've got level 6 highlighted, I'm not going to talk about location data up top. We're not talking about that. But if you
Yep.
look, I've got an equipment here, and that is my equipment record. That is the thing that I want to track failures to. I want to track
Yep.
costs to, right? That's the unit. Now I may not want to track the like for example on this electric motor here, I may not want to track the cost to the electrical circuit or the temperature sensor or the filters I put in it. I want to track the cost to the motor. So that's why we set the equipment record at that
Yep.
level. Like
Okay.
I'll get all that information later on down as I'm collecting data. So if you look at this, I've got my equipment record and then I've got my maintainable items. So in SAP, when you create a maintenance notification or a maintenance request, you'll notice it will have a failure code section in it. Now, some of you guys, your company may not have it there, but it is standard SAP. You can go in to your notification view and config and add this data in. And what we're looking
Okay.
for is we're looking for object part, cause, damage, and activity. So that's your maintainable items. And I'm going to explain that a little bit more in detail in this next slide. So this is right out of ISO 14224. If you guys are struggling defining failure codes, get a copy of this. It's not expensive. I think an enterprise asset license of it's $300-400. It's not a lot. Go get it. So if you look, it says, hey, this is a pump, and I've got
Okay.
3 different types of pumps, right? So here's a centrifugal pump, and here is the maintainable items. So when I talk about I go out to a pump and it's a centrifugal pump and it's leaking or I can hear it grinding or something ain't right, I know I've probably got an impeller problem, right? So I'm going to go to that notification. I'm going to say I select the pump and I'm going to say what is broken? Well, the impeller, right? And then later on down the road, I'm going to say what caused the issue. So I had a break, right? And then,
Yep.
so I'm telling you, I know I can hear that this thing's not sucking fluid through. I can hear stuff grinding around in there. I know I have a broken impeller. That's
Yep.
what I record on that notification. And when I repair it, I go back to what part specifically did I put in to replace
Yeah.
it,
What
right?
failed?
What failed? So I had a failure, an impeller fail, and specifically I put this make and model of impeller in, and that ties us back to our material master and our object part. So Tim, you're an engineer. You come from that world, like you come from that, like you immediately
Oh,
started connecting these
this.
dots when we talked, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So what the idea is when I'm an engineer and I'm trying to drive defects out, if you record information failure codes in SAP this way, this is a drop down. This is not somebody
Yeah.
typing. We're not doing
Just
AI.
select.
That's right. So I'm
Oh.
requiring these guys to say I had an impeller fail on a centrifugal pump. And if you get 10 or 15 of these in a certain area, it's going to raise red flags, and my reliability
Yep.
engineers are going to come in and they're going to start asking questions like what you asked. You said,
Yep.
well, do we have the wrong type of, like the wrong material? Should we be putting stainless in? Should we be
Well,
putting,
let me stop
right?
you there.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll
Yeah.
jump in from a supply chain perspective. I'm looking at this and thinking the data side that we always talk about. And right now,
Absolutely.
I got equipment. Okay, pump. Bam. I've created a maintenance
Yep.
equipment as a
Yep.
pump. Go down one more.
Yep.
Then I love this because this is the hierarchy within the bomb. If I'm going to build a bomb, I've got the equipment set up. Now I want to create a bomb. These subunits are perfect because now I'm going to
Yeah.
create a power transmission, pump unit, control and monitoring, lubrication. Then everything underneath it, maintainable units. Those are probably going to be components that I'm cataloging.
That's right. And so that you make a really good point. Now, there's a difference between a gearbox and a material master, right? Like I may have 2 different gearboxes that will fit
Yep.
that motor, right? So
Yep.
Think about it from a supply chain standpoint. If we go in and we replace a gearbox, or back to the impeller example, and I've been using an OEM impeller, or I've been using an aftermarket impeller, and they keep failing over and over and over again. Guess what? I go to the BOM, I update it, I write in the purchase order text on the info record and the source list. I say, this is the only acceptable part for this pump. Do not put anything else in there. And I write it on the master data of the material master. They go in, they select that
Well,
impeller,
and the
and
part number so that you're being supplied
that's,
what you want. So you're not
yes,
getting,
you have,
I don't want aftermarket, I want this material.
this is how you do that. That's how you get to this point. You drive defects out, and then you correct the problem on the supply chain side, right? So, how many times have you had guys in the mining business say they keep buying those shitty parts, right? Excuse my
Well, and
French.
exactly, because
Yeah,
this is where I'm saying building bombs. If people are creating work orders from a bomb or Teslas, they're going to get the same material every time because then you can quickly eliminate, is it a purchasing manufacturer, the material I'm putting in, or if there's no bombs, you got people searching. You could have three different impellers because of cataloging duplicates or free texting. And so your variables just exploded in terms of, well, what's been the problem? Well, I can't tell you if it's the impeller because I don't know what was put in the last three times.
that's
So,
exactly it. So, I think, Tim, you had the same response I had the very first time I looked at this. It's like, oh my gosh, I've spent the last 10 years trying to define a functional
yep,
location and equipment structure. And on top of that, now I've got my failure codes. I know
yep,
exactly
exactly. Yep,
what I should be tracking from a failure standpoint and what's causing it to happen. Right? It's unbelievable. And guys, it's
yep.
right in ISO 14224. I think I heard somebody tell me one time, a prophet never comes from his own village. I believe that's in the Bible a few places. I've heard it many places across from different guys that I've talked to. And you're right. Like, you don't have to try to convince everybody. Just go pull an ISO standard up. Nobody argues with ISO, right? So just go get your ISO 14224 or what's relevant to your industry, and let's get to work.